Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexalex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, and it's Monday, which of course means it is time for another one of our weekly viewer specials. If you are new to the channel or this series, welcome, glad to have you here. Let me give you a brief rundown of what we do. Every Monday, we showcase replays from you all, the viewers. It's a really great opportunity to not only feature some deck lists and or strategies I might not have time to explore myself, but on top of that, it lets us all kind of come together and cheer each other on, as a community. It's just a good, fun time. So, what we're going to be doing here is, as mentioned before, looking at your replays. And if you want to submit a replay for the viewer special, you simply need to check out the description below. There's going to be an invite link among those links to our Discord server, the Hexlexplex. Once you are in there, under the Master Duel section, there is a channel called Viewer Special Submissions. There you can drop your 9-digit player ID, and then I will be able to see your publicly saved replays. If you've got one particular replay you really want me to see, make sure you're leaving your opponent's name, the date and time, a screenshot, just something where I know that that is the game that you want me to watch. But now that we've gotten all that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at some of your games. Alright, our first duel comes to us from Meteoric, who's got a replay featuring the new Archfiend cards. In particular, it looks like we are going to be on Archfiend Primite with a Fiendsmith splash as well. And naturally, our vanilla monster for the Primite is going to be Summon Skull, which is always treated as an Archfiend card. Yeah, I haven't run into this deck on ladder, at all, so I'm actually very eager to watch this and see exactly how the Archfiend strategy plays out. And it looks like we are going to be up against two probably nobody's surprise branded. Looks like a fairly standard 40-card branded list at a glance. I am by no means an expert, but just glancing at it, seems solid. All right, we have a 10-turn replay, very back-and-forth game here. And I'm very eager to see what a deck that can lock horns with branded for that long is capable of. Looks like we are going first. Got a fair amount of the Archfiend cards here. Or no, we're going second, sorry. Okay, so we're going to chain Fulos to the branded in High Spirits. Opponent played it during the standby phase. They were definitely supposed to do it during the draw phase if they were trying to play around Droll, but we don't have it, so I guess it doesn't really matter either way. They're going to send Fulos and Rindbrum, getting Fallen of the White Dragon, which they're now going to special summon by dumping the Albion. They're going to activate Fallen of the White Dragon to summon out Ecclesia from the deck, and that'll give us our first Fulos draw. Now they're going to fire off their own Droll and Lockbird. Ah, I see. That makes sense. So that way we don't get any more draws. And Branded plays very well through the Droll and Lockbird, so I expect they're probably going to end on a very solid board here. Quem dumping the Cartesia, Albion's going to set Fallen and the Virtuous. Ecclesia gets to add back. Cartesia should get to add back too, right? Or maybe they want to leave it in there. I feel like they could have done better than that, right? I guess they would have needed the Golden Sword Soul. I was just thinking about, well, why didn't they, go into Cartesia off the Ecclesia and then fuse, but they might not be on the Golden Sword, so you would need that to set that up here. Okay, so we're going to normal summon the Highness Archfiend, which is a Light Fiend, meaning we can link it off into the Fiendsmith's Requiem. This will trigger their Quem effect, and that'll revive the Cartesia, which is why they didn't add it back to hand. That definitely makes sense. We're going to go Requiem effect. They are going to chain Cartesia, letting them fuse Albaz and Ecclesia in hand in order to summon Albion the Branded Dragon. We're going to summon out Lacrima the Crimson Tears. They're going to use Albion's effect, keeping in mind too that their face down card is the Fallen and the Virtuous. We saw them set that during the end phase, so we're going to have to be mindful of that too. Okay, here's Mirror Jade. We're dumping Engraver. Engraver F gets to activate, putting back the Highness Archfiend. And then now we can special summon. Okay, they're not using any of their effects just yet. Probably wanting to save Mirror Jade for... I guess they could use it against Sequence here. Yep, looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. Dumping Titaniclad. Now we're going to activate the field spell Archfiend Strategy. Our opponent's going to chain the Fallen and the Virtuous, but thankfully we have another copy in our hand, and we haven't activated any of these effects, so we're all good. We're going to activate the second copy. banish the Engraver in order to add Archfiend's Usurpation. Now, Royal Archfiend can activate in order to add Highness Archfiend once again. We're going to extra normal summon, looks like that was, and then banish in order to add the Archfiend's Ghastly Glitch as well as Archfiend's Fervor from our deck to our hand. Now we can equip Requiem, Pentascale the Archfiend Emperor, popping the Requiem, and then we get to use the Quick Play spell Usurpation here in order to Ritual Summon. Highness and Duke Archfiend are going to be used in order to make the Archfiend Emperor the new boss monster of this whole, you know, new wave of Archfiend support. We're going to use its effect. We're going to chain Ecclesia here, banishing to summon out Mercurier from deck, and then we just get to send everything. I guess because they already used Albaz, do they think they still had it in deck? Maybe? I don't know. Oh, well, no, duh, they did to banish out their Ecclesia so she comes back during the end phase. As we go to attack directly with our Royal Archfiend, they're going to summon out Albaz, but looks like they don't have a fusion target with our Archfiend monsters. Mirror Jade is going to pop the Archfiend monster that was on the board here. They're going to go for Fallen of White Dragon during the end phase, summon out Ecclesia. They get to add back Branded and High Spirits. And they're going to do a couple of other effects here, adding a copy of the Fallen and the Virtuous off the Dragon that Devours a Dogma, and then Ecclesia gets to return as well. Okay, here's Archfiend's Fervor. What does this one do? Turn to face of card your opponent controls, negate the effect. Okay, so it just gives us a negate, basically. They're going to use Fallen and the Virtuous on it. We're going to chain Lacrima. They're going to chain Bestial Saronir. So now Lacrima gets banished. And then we lose our Archfiend's Fervor. Next up is Ghastly Glitch. We're going to pop Ecclesia, dumping the Archfiend Eris, which will then activate in order to add another copy of Archfiend's Usurpation. They're going to use Ecclesia's Graveyard effect, putting back our field spell, and then summoning out the Ecclesia yet again. So it's unaffected by other monster effects while in the EMZ, but of course now being at 2,500 attack points, our Archfiend Emperor is quite a bit easier to battle over. I'm trying to read, what is all the effects here? In the EMZ. Okay, so it doesn't have anything that activates when it's like destroyed or anything like that. So we might be in a little bit of a spot here. We only have the Archfiend Emperor up, and our opponent is just going off here. Knowing that this is a 10-turn game, and that we have a couple of other games after this, I am going to throw this in fast forward for at least a moment here, as we resolve our Archfiend effects here. Getting to summon them pretty much all back after losing our Archfiend Emperor. And they didn't really make much progress on their board, just going for Granganol and then reviving the Ecclesia. Here's Usurpation. This is, I believe, their final copy of the Fallen and the Virtuous. Have they used all of them now? They have, yep. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay, Granganol is going to activate here, summoning out Despian, Lulu, Lilith. We still get to use Sequence, though, for Luce's The Dusk's Dark. Now, our monster might be negated, but we can still link it to a Balaku, and then a Balaku is going to activate Reviving the Luce, which we're going to put Typhone on top of. Wow. That'll bounce back the Lulu Lilith, and then we can smack them for 2,900. During the end phase, we get back a Balaku, and they're going to get back a couple of other things here. Or no, just the Cartes... Excuse me, just the Cartesia. Okay, that's good. Yeah, Branded might be up on cards, like in terms of advantage here, but they are starting to run out of resources. Oh, they're reviving Mirror Jade with their Fallen and the Virtuous. That definitely makes sense. Although, I think you would have definitely wanted to battle over Typhone here, right? That way you could activate the Mirror Jade's effect. You could have activated after battling over Typhone and then banish a Balaku? Because we didn't have any cards in hand to discard, yeah, so I think that's what our opponent should have been doing here. I guess they ended up accomplishing the same thing over the course of a couple of turns. Alright, looks like we're kind of in top deck mode right now. We did find the field spell Archfiend Strategy. That'll let us banish the fusion monster for Throne of the Archfiends. They're going to troll us. So that's it for our turn. I think that might have been it for our turn anyway, because we just added the ritual spell. Yeah, that wouldn't have done anything by itself. Alright, looks like we're coming up on the final turn of the game here, so we'll turn this off a fast forward as we top deck Primite Lordly Load. Here we go. Primite Lordly Load is going to activate. They're going to chain Ash Blossom, which is not ideal, to say the least, but we do still get to use the Archfiend strategy effect here, banishing Duke Archfiend in order to add the Royal Archfiend. Now we can use Throne of the Archfiend, and we can summon back our Archfiend Emperor. Looks like the Primate Lordly load there was mostly just Ash Blossom bait. It's a really good thing we used it. Alright, Archfiend Emperor banishing the Mirror Jade, and then we can revive the Abawaku. Now we're setting up a pretty lethal loop here. Not that we even need to, you know, continue looping our Abawaku, because we're just going to swing in for lethal with the Archfiend Emperor. Wow. Never thought I'd necessarily see the day where Archfiend out-grinds Branded in the grind game. There were a lot of board states where it just looked like Branded was so favored, but we had just enough gas to keep pushing through, and Archfiend was able to take that dub. Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, Meteoric. We still got a couple of games to go, so let's take a look at the next one. Alright, this next duel comes to us from Floppy Keyboard, who's got a couple of Enneacraft games. I think we're going to check out this one here. And we are not just on Enneacraft, we've also got the Fallen and the Virtuous package here as well, helping us out. So we're going to be on that, and our opponent, to probably nobody's surprise, is going to be on Branded. Only a 14-card extra deck, though. They might have forgotten a card there, but alright. Let's go ahead and check this one out. I've played against Enneacraft a few times. I have to admit, it's not my favorite deck to play against. Mostly because of the Floodgate effect from a Torimar, but I do think it is a pretty neat archetype as far as how it's designed otherwise. Alright, so we did open with one of the level 1s. We got the Rebirth and the Reset here. Looks like we're going to go for the Release. Release letting us find the Death Tarot, the hand-ripping one. Yeah, normally I know we'd be trying to use the Reset to get to the field spell here, or we'd be searching for it with our Enneacraft monsters, but thankfully we already opened the ability to get access to the field spell, so we can just keep finding more level 1s, which can keep searching. This time we're going to find a Torimar, and then we're going to use Rebirth, putting back the ones from our Pentascales, and looks like one of the ones from our hand. Pretty sure you always put back the ones from your Pentascales. Seems like they always do anyway, and it would make sense too, right? Because then you would be able to play some more stuff and search more stuff. Now, our opponent did actually activate an effect that adds cards from deck to hand, so we get to flip up our Death Tarot and do a little bit more searching here. We're gonna set the... oh, which one was that? The Spia. Okay, how does that one trigger? Is this the target one? No, that's the Chain Link 3 or higher one. Okay. And then, yeah, we got the Torimar, we got Death Tarot. Looks like they are going to end up... oh, returning Ash Blossom off the... right. I was like, what? Returning Ash Blossom? But no, of course, it's because we banished it from hand. Okay, so they're going to activate Fallen and the Virtuous, sending away the Rindabrum to pop our Death Tarot. That's actually not that big of a deal. They definitely should have tried to go after the field spell, although we probably would have had access to another copy next turn anyway. Alright, so we get to flip up our Enneacraft monster here. It's going to be the Torimar, which gets to activate. They're going to chain Ecclesia's effect. And we're going to start floodgating them. Now, I guess to be fair, I suppose against Branded, it doesn't matter as much because they can just fuse them away, but I'm going to try not to let my own, like, feelings about that kind of effect mar this replay too much. We're going to go for Albion the Branded Dragon, or they are rather going to go for Albion the Branded Dragon. We're going to chain the Maxi here. And they have the Ash Blossom, which we did know about, but I mean, we definitely need to get that Ash Blossom out of the hand. And actually, wait a second, that was Chain Link 3 or higher, wasn't it? I didn't even think about that. So now, Atil Spia gets to activate. Wow, that stops everything in the Chain Link too. That's insane. Alright, they're going to go for a Branded Fusion here, summoning out the Lubellion. Lubellion F gets to activate. They're going to dump the Branded and High Spirits in order to fuse for what looks like Mirror Jade. Yep. There is the Mirror Jade. Alright, now Mirror Jade gets to activate, banishing the Atlas Spia. Golden Sword Soul now gets to activate because the monster is banished face up. This will revive their Ecclesia. And it looks like they're going into battle phase here. We're going to flip up the Fallen and the Virtuous, sending Albion to pop their Mirror Jade. Great time to pop Mirror Jade because, of course, we don't have any monsters on our field. Our life points are getting a little bit low, but they're not at 0, and that last life point's the only one that matters. I guess Enneacraft does pay life points for its search effects, right? So we might actually have more that matter beyond just the one. Alright, they're in main phase 3. Getting all their effects off. Branded Retribution being set. Alright. Drawing for turn. We're going to use the Graveyard effect of Release here. Putting a Torimar back in our hand. Now Pixie is going to activate. They're going to chain Branded Retribution. I guess to be fair, against Enneacraft in this kind of a spot, there's really not that many good opportunities to use the Branded Retribution. Because you're just gonna, yeah, they're just gonna always use another Enneacraft monster effect. Always good to reveal the same one over and over again so your opponent's never sure of what you're setting. Alright, we're gonna do a little bit more searching here, finding another copy of the red cube. It's not a cube. It's I guess whatever you call that 3D shape. It looks like a diamond. They were just done at this point, though. Our opponent was like, nah, you got it. Because they knew, I mean, at this point, we were just going to flip up a Torimar again and flip all their stuff down. And, like, even a deck like Branded only has so many ways to fuse stuff away from their board. It's something I've definitely encountered playing against Enneacraft is just, that floodgate effect is so disgusting. I'm not a fan, but this was a very, very good game. Thank you very much for that submission, Floppy Keyboard. Let's go and take a look at our last replay. And our last replay comes to us from Kinohara, who's got a pile deck that I'm interested in checking out here. It's Branded, Fiendsmith, and Kashtira. So, let's see. I kind of want to see what this deck can do going first, so let's check out this replay here. And here is the list. I've kind of been theory crafting like what other engines you might be able to use with Fallen of the White Dragon, because it's such a powerful effect, right? To be able to dump one of your branded extract monsters, special summon, and then also pull Ecclesia from deck. It's just what you can play while also, you know, still being able to push through this lock that it sets up is what I've been trying to figure out. But this list looks really cool. I definitely like to try something like this out, where we are still doing mostly branded stuff as far as our extra deck goes. We just have like a few other nice little extra options here. And our opponent looks like they are on some out of a Fiendsmith Kashtira engine deck as well. Yeah, this is a going second Fiendsmith Kashtira deck. That's cool. I haven't seen a deck like this in quite some time. So yeah, we're losing the coin flip, but they are letting us go first, which when we look at their list makes a lot of sense. So yeah, let's see what we do on turn 1 here. Alright, we've got the Fallen of the White, as well as a Fabled Lurie. We're going to begin with the Fabled Lurie, which of course makes sense because Fallen of the White Dragon is going to lock us out of Link monsters and all that stuff. Ooh, they're going to Gamma the Requiem. We're going to chain Thualos, but nothing else. I actually like chaining Thualos here, because if we see Gamma, it's a lot more likely they're going to be on Cool Tune, which does do turn 0 plays that summon from the extra deck. Looks like we're going to super poly their monsters away as well here after summoning the Kashtira Unicorn, which again also makes sense, because of course Unicorn needs there to be 0 monsters on the field. Or on your field, I guess, in order to summon. Unicorn's going to add Birth, we're going to activate the Birth, and then now we're going to go for Fallen of the White Dragon. It's going to pull out the Ecclesia from the deck. Are we on? Okay, we don't have SP Little Knight. I was going to say, if we're on Little Knight, we could have linked there, drawn a card, and then revived the Unicorn off of Birth. Alright, so there's the Fallen of the White Dragon. It's going to summon, or not Fallen of the White. Well, yeah, it started with Fallen of the White, but it's the Ecclesia summoning out the Quem. Now we get to add and then activate Fallen and the Virtuous, popping our own Garura in order to draw a card, and then we get to use Quem's effect because a card left the extra deck. So now we can special summon the Cartesia that we dumped earlier, and Garura gets us that card draw. It's another copy of Fallen of the Virtuous, which will also set off the Albion. Then Ecclesia gets to add herself back as well. And then we also get back the Synchro Ecclesia. I like this. I actually really like the setup here. Alright, they're going to fool us during the draw phase. We get to use Unicorn's effect. We're going to banish their Barrel and Diffler. And because a card left their extra deck, now Gwen can summon out Fallen of the White Dragon. Gives us a lot more options to fuse with Cartesia because now we have Fallen of the Albaz in play. Fallen of the Albaz. Fallen of Albaz, you know what I mean. Alright, we end up getting rid of their Fenrir thanks to the Desiree. Looks like they're going to go for Fiendsmith's Tracks off the Engraver. Tract is going to activate, going for another copy of Engraver. They must already have Lurie in hand. They do. Alright, Lurie's going to activate. We're going to go Birth Effect. Wow, and that was enough, of course, to stop them because the Birth Effect will banish out Lurie and the Engraver that's also in the graveyard already. Wow, that was a really solid turn 1 setup. I really like that. I might have to try something like this myself. I've got some other ideas of how to use Fallen of the White Dragon with other engines as well, but that'll be for another time. Thank you very much, Kinohara, as well as to everybody else who submitted. Even if you didn't get featured, I really do appreciate submissions, because without any submissions, we couldn't do this series, and this is my favorite regular series that we do here on the channel. It's our longest running one by far as well. So thank you, as always, for submitting, and yeah, that's all I got for you for now. So let's move on to our outro, so we can also thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which, by the way, is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.